Okay, Maseches Bruchos. Shelo yuva hil'uda min ha'suda. A person shouldn't come in from the field. V'yomer oichel kima, v'eshte kima, v'achar ekol kiyushma v'yispaal. You shouldn't come home after a day of work, working hard, and think, oh, I'll eat a little bit, I'll drink a little bit, and I'll go down. I'll say Kriyishma, I'll go down. It says Nimtzeim oisekein chaytav t'shena. He's going to start eating. He's going to fall asleep, and then Yoshem Chalai is going to fall asleep the whole night, and he won't even end up davening. So, the first thing when he comes home, you should go to the Beis Medrash. And Mikra, if you go to Lishna's Lishna, and if you learn Mishnah's, then, after he's learned a little bit, Krishma is followed the whole over of Divrei Chachamim Chayav Misa Ad Kan. So if you remember, like last week, we learned about this, that the oinish for neglecting or, being over on Divrei Chachamim is Misa. Now, that doesn't mean that somebody who does this, they're going to haul him away and check something.
I mean, how could they give someone Chayav Misa unless there's a Sanhedrin?
It's probably we're really talking about Chayav Misa edition. It can't possibly be what we're talking about. Anyway, but that is what he's. It's like it says in Pirkei Avos. If you instruct your learning and say Manu Nirze, Manu, how beautiful the nature is. It's a Chayav Nafsha. They're saying that it's a very serious thing. You have to take this seriously. It's not pushing. Anyway, so he's going to explain that again. He says Mishim Shehem Godri Shelo Yuvoy Urim Levatul Kriyishma V'Yatfilu Shelo Yochel Kodim. So they made a takuna that a person should not. There's all kinds of exceptions, but basically the din is that a person should not eat and drink before saying Kriyishma in the morning or in the evening. So because you shouldn't be mevatel the Kriyishma and Tefillah. Yemisha oiver al ageder shegidru sheloi yuvoy lidei iser, and when a person is oiver on a geder, this fence that the Chachamim made, that a person shouldn't come into a position of being oiver on an iser. The kach yishchene nochash k'mo shemami. So that person. So even if yishchene nochash is a very good example because that's Chayav Misa. In other words, a person gets bitten by a snake, gets a fatal snake bite. So that's b'dei shemayim. But that's an example of something that happened to him if he doesn't take this in seriously. So al yedei geder chachumim yesh hebdel ben zonos. Explain it again. Why Chayav Misa? Al yedei geder chachumim yesh hebdel ben dover ledover k'moish yizbor. You say that there's the Chachamim made a distinction between one thing and another. They made boundaries to each thing. So when you establish these boundaries, then a thing gets it has a form. Without boundaries, everything's just kind of amorphous. It's just kind of all over the place. But when you establish boundaries, it gets a defined form, which becomes its tzira. It's the way we recognize it. He called the Chash Yesh Hebdel Ben Dover Dover Yesh Zen Nechshav Tzirusai. He called Tzira Yehebdel Ben Dover Dover. The Silik Yehebdel Dover Zen Nechshav Bittul HaTzira. So when you take away that distinction between things, that fence between things, the boundaries, then it's considered to be a bittul tzira, that you're taking away the form that was established for those things. Just as you took away the tzira of this mitzvah, so Hashem can take the tzira from a person. So then that is considered to be equivalent to death. Because death, what is death? You take away the tzira from the person, meaning he's no longer a live thing with the tzira. The whole thing that establishes the person from one person to the other is that he has a tzira. It's also a tzira is a tzara malakim, the whole thing also. V'harei dovazeh medir l'mal. She'im ein isa shnius hibu la'avor gif aroyas. So if you take away the issa of shnius, which helps to establish the boundary of where of what erva is, then you end up being over on the goof of the arise itself. Actually, so even if you're over on shnias, which is only the geder, it's coming out that you're causing a header and bittul of the mitzvah. So then you also get this header, which is this taking away of certain existence. Think of it this way: the whole existence of a mitzvah is actually in ruchnis, right? A mitzvah is a ruchnistic thing. So how do we establish the tzura of a mitzvah? What does it look like? What is its havaya? What's its existence? Through putting spiritual, boundaries on it, learning Torah about this thing. This thing has a certain. The mitzvah is how Hashem commanded it, or how the Chachamim set it up. So in this case, we're talking about the Eibishter set up a mitzvah in terms of how he established mitzvah in the Torah. The Chachamim are adding to it to make it even more defined. So that it's so defined that you know exactly where it starts and where it ends, so that you are sure that you don't invade its boundaries, right? Once you break down those boundaries, you're essentially taking away the existence of the mitzvah. And you see it bechish because you see that people start neglecting a mitzvah or being over on a mitzvah because they're chipping away at it, all the mitzvahs of chachamim, and eventually until they get to chip away at the mitzvah itself, because they're not taking seriously the whole thing, eventually the mitzvah itself isn't taken seriously and disappears altogether. So then you ended up killing the mitzvah. You killed the mitzvah. Islam just doesn't exist anymore because people just stopped taking it seriously. So the chachamim are saying, let's put an extra shield on the mitzvah, so you don't have the risk of mamish tearing down the boundaries of the mitzvah itself. So this shield then becomes part of like a levush for the mitzvah itself, and becomes part of the mitzvah. It becomes the identical part of the mitzvah, just like the body is only really a shield or a levush. But if you would tear down the body, then the Shema can't exist without the body. So in the same sense, this is the device that can't exist without this is the one. I'm adding a little bit there, but I think it's appropriate to say that. The Omar, because this is what he's saying here. It's talking about the guf of the Yorais. It becomes one with the mitzvah. It's not something added on. It's something that becomes all one unity. Because that even though the Chachamim added it. The Omar in Toima, so they ask, you can also ask if they're really a significant thing, and this is really, to be taken so seriously, then why didn't they make it into a separate sefer? It should make its own book. We're talking again about Tosh Baal Peh, so we're talking about before it was actually written down. Eventually it was taka written down, but why don't you make a sefer out of it? Perish af in ein rui sheyeh nachtuvim ima Torah. So there's a Gemara in Abraham, right? So they ask why. So in the Gemara itself, they ask if that's true, then why didn't they make a mamish to it? Then it's a mamoshistic thing. Why didn't they make a sefer out of it? So he says. Even though it should, they were not to be written in the Torah. What the question is, if these things are so important to the mitzvah itself, why wasn't it written into the Torah, or at least written to something in a separate sefer? So he says because you couldn't do that because there's a definite difference between them. The Eibishter wanted to make it clear that these are two different madrigas, they're two different levels, and they're to be treated separately in two different ways. You're not over. You don't have the same punishment on one as you have on the other. There's something the Rabbanan goes l'chilin and something the Doraisa goes l'chimra. There's different ways that they're to be treated. So you couldn't make it all one thing. So why didn't they, at least if they weren't written into the Torah itself, why weren't they written by themselves in a separate sefer? Can I call Sifrei Kodesh, like Megillus or Tillim or anything else sefer? Even though it's not in the same madrig as the Guf of the Chimish, for example. So the Divrei Chachamim are not to be compared to Divrei Torah. Two separate things. Divrei Torah hen yisoid mitzvah. That's the foundation of the mitzvah. Is the Doraisa. The Divrei Chachamim hem advurim aprutim shehem lemitzvah. The Chachamim are dealing with the specifics, the details, the things that are kind of not the foundation of the mitzvah, but the way the mitzvah is practiced in real life. How do we handle every possible eventuality that could come out of the mitzvah, what's circulating around it.
Right, the Mishnah Torah says that the Torah Shabbat is like the law, and the Torah Shabbat comes to explain the law, comes to give its reason, comes to help us understand it.
And its application, in every situation, and also in every generation. Okay, we're going to talk about that. So that's the thing. When you're talking about, he goes into a whole thing about a whole, and someplace else, one of his others for him. He talks about a whole mushal of a metaphor comparing the Torah to a tree. So you got the foundation, the roots of the tree, and then the trunk of the tree, right? And then you got these branches coming out of the tree, and those branches are coming out on other branches, the branches and the leaves and the twigs and everything else. And it goes, inside, which is mamish keeps generating new branches and new leaves and everything else. So the Torah itself is like the roots and maybe the trunk, which is like one stable thing that's all there. You're not gonna, one trunk doesn't turn into two trunks. That's a thing that's stable and that doesn't change. But on the other hand, because of the fact that when you talk about growth, it says the Torah is pruivu, is really the Torah itself. The Torah is constantly generating more and more. That's one thing. And the other thing is that in time, because it's constantly, it's in all times, and time is always coming up with new applications and new social situations. So it never ends. So it's not possible to encapsulate it and korveya. It's not possible to like stop it, limit it, and establish it, and make it into a finite thing, because it's infinite, because it's always producing. So I was talking about this.
that in a few days we'll receive with Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai was the Torah that was given to Moshe Rabbeinu we have today that was never changed. That part of the bark, that root, doesn't change ever. It's only the branches that constantly are growing.
Right. But they're saying the reason why it couldn't ever be written down, and that would never be able to do justice to it, is because of the fact that it is infinite. And probably that's why one of the main reasons why there was an injunction dafka not to write it down. Because a person shouldn't think that it is something
written down, so the stuff that's not written down is not as important.
It was only written down as a survival. Mamish lazy greater, they didn't have a choice. They had to write it down so people forgot. That's the only reason. It was mamish a b'diavad type of thing that was, people were limited how much they could remember, and also there were all kinds of difficult times. There was loss. No, Resh Me'apeh. That was it just got too hard to handle. First of all, it expanded to a point where it was extremely difficult to keep all that in their head. And second of all, it was in danger of being lost because of the times, the difficult times when the Romans and that, where it was difficult to keep going. But anyway, so and that unfortunately led to a lot of misunderstandings, But the fact is that the whole thing about that in order to change something, that was you had to be brutal. The same thing with the previous best and Badula and Dominion. So this whole thing about what previous generations said that we can't be Mavata, so we can't go back, and that's what the conservative element messed up, because they started saying that it never stopped, and we can be Mavata for things that they said in the Gemara, take Memorary opinions, that kind of stuff. So people can play around with that. But
well, there is such a movement. You've heard of Machon Shiloh, the Nusach Eretz Yisrael of Rabbi David Bar Chaim in Jerusalem.
No.
They are attempting to be Mavatal for Ashkenazim Kitnius, and that's just the beginning. They want to go back to blowing the shofar on Shabbos, shaking the lulav as it used to be.
Open orthodoxy and so there's all kinds of these in-between groups that are trying to play against them. Anyway. So the Divrei Chachamim prutim shem l'mitzvah, and prutim away from the guilty tachlis, and they she'ain kates lohem, so there's no end to them. L'chein lo nicht b'klal, so they never got written down at all. She'im hoyu nichtov miktzas mehem hoyu davar chusser. Because because of the fact that it's infinite, just keeps growing. So if it was ever written down, it would be considered a davar chusser. That's like it's missing something. It's the thing that you're writing down is not complete. it's just like ad kan. It's like a temporary thing up to that point, but that's all that it got. Maybe you could say that the Mishnah, I don't know, it's not Mishnah and the Gemara. The difference is that you got the Tanuim and you got the Moiruim, just like you got the Rishonim and you got the Achroinim. So every Tekufa, every era of Chachamim, kind of, that was a certain group, and then you can't really contradict them. That becomes like an established thing, what they said. Although some things are still machlokes about, they were never really established. And then you've got the Moyim on top of them. Every Tekufa, then it kind of got sealed at a certain point. That was like there was some kind of a work that more or less ad kan, and then we got to the next level, and then it was ad kan, and the next level. And it was more out of consensus than anything else. It was like who do you? It was just accepted by the Yiddish. That's why it became more established. Okay, on now. The Inyan Schuran al Shmirusim. Okay, now he's going into a whole other Inyan. The idea of the reward for keeping, we talked about the oinish, the punishment if you don't keep it. What about the scar if you do keep it? The perak oisin passen, chadushim v'gam yeshunim, doidi tzufan tilach. You were the old, huh? Shir, right. Doidi tzufan tilach. Amr knesset Yisrael l'fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Yidden said before Hashem, Harbe Gezeiros Gezarti al Atzmi, Yoisim Gemashes Gezarti Olai, Kiyamter. I was Goizer, I took on various restrictions or whatever on myself. I took on myself more than what you instructed me. More than you gave me mitzvahs to restrict my actions, I took on myself. The Yidden pride themselves in the gzeirus that they took on themselves, even more than the fact that they observe the mitzvahs that Hashem gave us. The Irish didn't tell them they have to take these things on. They took it on, of their own goodwill. So the fact that they weren't forced into it, they took it on their own. We'll be talking a little bit about that tomorrow. The idea that it had a greater power, the fact that they took it on themselves rather than being forced into it. Because this way it shows how much they love Hashem, what they're doing. But when you take something on your own free will, it shows that you're doing it from Maharal. Love.
Unlike Matan Torah, where we were sort of forced into it.
Well, that's the idea of Rabbis was in the times of Chashverish, that there was that they took it on Be'ahav at that time. At the time of that was also a big thing, but in terms of Josh Baal Peh. And it could be that the idea of the Kofar Gigigis, there's all kinds of interpretation of what that means. That they were forced into it then, whether it was Torah B'Ksav, Torah Baal Peh, that they were only forced into Torah Baal Peh. There's all kinds of interpretations. Anyway, so Sha'oived Megira ain't a voice. If a person is just forced into it, he's just doing it out of fear, he's not going to take on extra things for himself. He's going to get away. He's going to try to get away with the minimum. He'll say, it's enough what I'm doing already, let alone having to take on any extra. So fear doesn't work.
In England they say never question a kula, never question an easement. But here they say the opposite, never question a chumrah, never question a stricture. There can never be enough chumras.
The chumras are also very often things we take on our own. Chumras are things we take on ourselves. We could get away with less. Instead we choose to take those on. Plus the extra things that are altogether extra. But, okay, so how is the eine machir bedover? Aber misha moise aber heute die moire als die oive machen. The fika omrim chadushem gam yeshunim doidi zufantila. Die shem doidi When we talk about doidi, it's like my beloved. It's a reference to ahava. So that's why that pasuk is used for this concept. Doidi doidef. It's referring to something that you're doing out of love. It's not mitzvahs hachadushim. Shem mitzvahs l'Rabbanan. The old laws are the ones Hashem gave. The new ones are the ones we took on our own. Moira al shehem oitim ahava. So the new mitzvahs, which are talking about mitzvahs l'Rabbanan, that's talking about things that we took on ahava. The hiktim achadushim shehem gzeirus l'Rabbanan al yeshunim l'ma'alusim. So the fact that he talks about chadushim first and yeshunim afterwards is on talking about their ma'ala, the hierarchy. He's talking about which one is like more, which one comes first. Because it comes out that Rabbanan maybe in a higher status in a sense than the Raisa. The Raisa is a much higher level in terms of being godly and closer to the source. But the fact that we took on the mitzvah Rabbanan out of Ahava, because we ourselves voluntarily
commitment, stronger will.
Yeah, not only but where's the commitment coming from? Out of love, because otherwise you don't add. That's his point. If you want to, if you would take it's a kind of a chiddush, because you could look at the chimras and the extra things that we took on as being like, we're afraid to be oiver because maybe we'll get into trouble, and then that's out of yira. It's not out of ahava. He's saying no, it's not like that. We're taking it out of ahava because we want to do more. And if you look at even chumras from that standpoint, then it's not the Chumrah of the Month Club, people making fun of chumras as being something that people are doing just, they want to be more and more frum. There's the frum, because the frumkeit is looked at in terms of yira. It's not.
Well, it's a certain kind of English, not the shema. People make fun of the chumras, but people just do chumras without doing the real thing. Focus on the real things before you do the chumras. Don't do the chumras so you can put on like a whole.
But what it also said, what means that if it's applied also to chumras, is something that I've said for a long time. If you want to do chumras, do it berutzen. Don't do chumras don't take on all these extra chumras because you've been forced into it, because ultimately you just throw them away anyway. You have to do that because you really want to, but do it out of ahava. When you're ready to, and you see the value of the mitzvah, and you want to have more and more to do with Hashem, and you want to bring Hashem into more and more aspects of your life. Right, but people who do it just because they're afraid, or because they're worried about what the other thing's going to say, or something like that, very often it becomes a big problem later on.
The increasing number of Talibanista girls you see in full cloaks from top to bottom, who are not afraid to berate the regular seminary girl for showing a bit of ankle, for showing 6 inches of calf. That's already, would you say it's already a fetish or a mental aberration?
There's another hashkafa that comes in there, which is one of, derech ha-mitzvah. The extremes are never derech ha-mitzvah, middle way. There's no the golden mean, is the Rambam would say.
It's on things like that there can be schisms that can actually end up almost in a world war over a girl's 6 inch of ankles.
A lot of schools don't let these girls in the cloud. There's extremism is generally not a good thing. Okay? So when you become extreme, even more than extreme than the extreme.
We have to really question and understand where the extremism comes from.
That's true.
Usually extremism is a motivation to counter something else extreme. Western culture, we're not wearing any clothes at all. So the extreme, that's a very extreme thing too. So the extreme on the other end is wear a lot of clothes, and maybe then they'll sort of come in the middle sometime soon. I think girls should dress modestly. I think at the time we live, women should dress
modestly. Yes, but the question is we have to imitating the Taliban. Imitating Taliban is like a little bit.
I don't know who's imitating Taliban. I don't know what that reference is.
It's a question where is it coming from really? It's very difficult to find in Jewish sources a basis for that kind of.
I think it's more of a cultural thing that's developed over time to counter the outside influence.
Again, I don't think it's coming from a real healthy place. And a lot of other Rabbanim feel that way. Even in the
we're talking about something specific, like what's this Taliban thing?
The stuff that we're wearing things over the head, little girls wearing these things all over the that was never done. The only places that was done was Yidden who were living in those cultures where everybody else was doing that. So they also went like that.
I thought you meant like tights and like stuff.
No, that's for sure.
Okay. I thought you meant that.
No.
Because I think you mentioned 6 inches of ankle, which is like usually.
No, he's saying that they're making fun of the 6 inches of the girls that are showing 6 inches.
And not just making fun
because they're wearing all the way to the floor and all the way.
also these not
They draw
afraid,
more attention to themselves.
not afraid to criticize the Rabbonim. That's already another level. There could be a schism. I'm fully expecting, as you know, in every century, there's a major schism. Yeah, no, that's right. But I'm expecting imminently.
That happens right now. World War III. Let's go. Get it over with.
Okay, let's get through one more here. Okay, Perak Mishamesi. Dora should be a dealer. Zimni Maharal, Mishmei Rabbis. Only Malachi Ashur is the book for the Malachim themselves said in front of Hashem. See the Tzairos, Asher Lo Yisuf Kunim. It says in the Torah that you don't show favor to anybody. You know, you're equal opportunity, equal footing everybody. But you give special favors or special attention to the Yid. You see, Yisrael Hashem Puna Be'elechus. In the Birkat Kohanim. Yisrael Hashem Puna Be'elechus. That's Nasi's Punim. Omelahem, Chuloi Esen and Punim. Shekasartu B'Soyusi, B'Achaltu B'Savatu B'Rachtu. How can I not give them special attention? It says, I wrote in the Torah, B'Achaltu B'Savatu B'Rachtu, that if you eat and you're satisfied, then you bench. Then you set it up. That you don't have to bench even if you only eat kazaz. So it's like it's not appropriate that then I should treat them strictly according to din. I also have to go, beyond the din or inside the din to do special favors. Because they are dodik in the Irish and Irish has to treat them differently.